Introducing The Fiber, brought to you by Live Oak Fiber. This open forum is meant to inspire, empower, and set the record straight for consumers and better broadband enthusiasts alike. Good day, and thank you for tuning in to The Fiber. I'm your host, Kimber McCafferty, and today we have a very special guest, the Mayor of Destin, Bobby Wagner.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us today. I just kind of want to run through everything we can with you to talk about Destin, what keeps you so passionate about Destin, how you ended back here, how you became mayor so young.
Well, my girlfriend reminded me to take breaths in between, so I'll try not to rush too much.
No, that's good. No, I'm sure this is your wheelhouse, right? Especially being...
I enjoy it. I get very excited, and then I might ramble on a little bit, so just keep me in line, but I'm excited to share anything and everything.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. You grew up here?
So I was born in upstate New York, not the Big Apple, but around the Finger Lakes. And my dad retired. My mom had some family in Destin area, so I actually moved here in 6th grade. Kicking and screaming, I had my whole world of elementary school up there, so I thought this was just the worst possible thing for like a 10-year-old to move and have to start all over again. But I came to Destin in 6th grade and then went to Fort Walton Beach High School for high school, and it's just been a very interesting ride ever since. I actually had on my computer Destin sucks growing up because I was trying to leave Destin as soon as possible because, again, my family and friends and everything was in New York. So I really, it took a while for me to acclimate, and I think that was my own fault. But here we are, and I absolutely love this community and try to give something to it every day now.
I've been to the Finger Lakes area, Trumansburg. Yeah. I had a brother-in-law from Trumansburg across Cayuga Lake from
absolutely.
Cornell.
Yep, I got some aunts and uncles that live on the lake, and I was born in the Syracuse Hospital.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. That's where you fly into when you do go that way. So you went to Troy University and then came back to Destin. Why?
I left high school on a band scholarship to Troy. It was almost a full ride. I'm a trumpet player. I started in 6th grade when I moved to Destin and had no musical bones. My family had nothing about music in their bones. I just picked it up as a special elective kind of thing and ended up falling in love with it. And that's really where I got my confidence here locally and started really becoming a communicator, was through music. So I went there to be a band director. Randy Folsom was the band director at Fort Walton Beach High School at the time. And he was like, hey, I got 7 years left in me, so go get your degree, come back under me, and then the band's yours. So that was my parting of high school plan.
Okay.
That completely, clearly went kaput and went the other direction. And so now I came back to Destin because I got a job with Cornerstone Marketing and Advertising. I was doing an internship through them during the college summers, and then the video producer at the time and my mentor ended up moving back to Michigan. And so they offered me the job at 20, 1 hour away from an AA degree that I still don't have.
Okay.
So I left college on the dean's list with a full ride to convert a summer internship into a full-blown video producer job. And so that's kind of where this whole crazy video production background came from, was this random leap of faith from college from an internship into a position at a marketing agency.
Do you still take part in video production?
I do. That's still the breadwinner of the household for me. The mayor position, while I love it, is a volunteer position, and the only thing that I always just regret is that I can't give it 100% of the time. So the 20% of the time when I'm making money, it's most likely through the video production company, photography, video, drone, underwater imagery, so all that fun stuff. So kind of adrenaline junkie with a camera.
Yeah, but it gave you the skills to market yourself.
Yeah, it gave me the skills to market myself. It taught me just how close-knit this community is and how much it gives back to the area, and I really fell in love with helping nonprofits with their mission and with their events for fundraising. So it really made me fall in love with the community. I did it for a paycheck and for a passion of production, but it really led to my second passion now, which is community development and just really trying to bring everyone under one umbrella for families, for economic development, and really what got me into public service. So it's been a wild ride of yeses that I had no idea would be in my pipeline of what I've done, but it's always gone through video production. It's kind of been it all at the beginning. It really started with one production class in high school. Again, an elective class that I had no business being a part of, just like band, and that really kind of turned into a second love of mine. So it's been awesome.
When was that pivotal moment that you knew you wanted to segue into politics with what you had learned that far along your journey and say, okay, I'm gonna run for mayor?
Yeah. So I'll answer that the same way I knew that I was going to leave college for that position, and that's on a paddleboard in the middle of the bay crying. So
You're honest.
I mean, it was like, for me, I was 20. It was like the true fork in the road. I'm like, oh my goodness, there's maybe not a yes or right or wrong answer, but there's clearly two different paths of my life. If I pick one, I'm going down a different path, and maybe it intersects somewhere else, but at least at that moment it felt like there's a true fork in the road. There's not a maybe here. There's A or B, yes or no, which side are you going to go? And that was the same thing for politics. Was I fell in love with this, helping nonprofits in the production side. I really fell in love with one called Trees on the Coast. I became a board member in 2017, and in 2020, right before the pandemic and everything, the founder, Alan French, ended up having a grandchild, went back to Atlanta, and so we were kind of in this board meeting of, well, do we fold this nonprofit that's going really well? And I was like, well, if you guys can help me, I'm happy to be the spearhead of it all. If you guys show me which way to go and what to do, I'm happy to learn on the job. And so one of those jobs was to go to council and get approval, whether that's city council, school board, the principal's office, going in and allowing us to plant trees free of charge with the kids in the community, ideally the schools. So it's kind of like cultivation through conservation and education. So it was all about planting trees with kids, and I had to go and get an easy yes vote, which was free trees.
And with all this charm and charisma, I'm sure you had a really hard time.
But that's what got me in front of City Hall and made me realize, and that's what I stressed last week with the elementary school, the middle schoolers, and the high schoolers for Florida Government Week, was at the city level, it's 5-7 votes max, which means you need 3 or 4 votes of saying yes to your idea and things start changing. And for me to be exposed to that as a nonprofit director, asking for very low-hanging fruit projects, but realizing that if only 4 of these people in Destin say, yes, my project is starting, it comes to life. And so that's kind of one of the biggest things I like to share and try to promote with local government. Is it's not what you see on TV. It's not about politics. It's truly, at the end of the day, projects getting done, trying to make your community better. And if you have an idea or you have a suggestion or you want to get involved, it's not a big government feel. It's locals in the area that know the same street names that you do. And if you can convince 4 of those council members, in our case, that your idea is good, well, now it's alive, it's funded, and here we go. So I think that's always been the most fun about this position, is that I don't see it as politics. I see this as project creation at a local level and just bringing people together.
That's fun.
Yeah,
and you're
fun.
also now the executive director for Trees on the Coast,
Yep.
right? Is
Yeah,
there anything else you want to add about Trees on the Coast?
I'm looking for a replacement. I clearly have overcommitted myself and have now realizing this. No, but so at this point, we've slowed down a lot on Trees on the Coast, only because I've really taken the mayor position very seriously, and that's been kind of where I really wanted to put my time. And while Trees on the Coast have gotten me here, I don't want to just abandon it. So our board's still there, the funding's still there, and if you're very passionate about education through conservation and want to make a difference in our community, we're very much interested in volunteers stepping up to the plate, becoming board members, and those board members becoming leadership positions. So we are very much open and willing for new blood to come into the nonprofit and potentially trying to pass this leadership role to someone else, because it's gotten me to this next phase in life, and I'm grateful for it. But I definitely want to make sure that this thing that got me here is taken care of, and I don't just abandon it.
Well, whomever takes that seat has big shoes to fill, I'm sure.
Big shovels.
Yeah. Tell me, goals as mayor. When you set your sights on becoming mayor, what were some of the things that you knew you wanted to tackle?
And I'm glad you used the word tackle, because I consider my first year of government was kind of like a red shirt freshman year.
Okay.
I got an appointed position. So long story short, our house is a little magical, if we will. And so I ran in a special election because our seats are 4 years long. Our terms are 4 years long. And that was a lot of commitment to try something out. Like, I'm going to try local government. But that try is a 4-year commitment if you get in. So that felt very that felt like a lot for me.
Committal.
So yeah,
Super
just
committal.
yeah, because I just wanted to try it out, but I also didn't want to jump in head first. So someone got off council willingly, and so we had a special election because it was more than a year from their due date. So I came in second. I lost. I was like, man, this would have been perfect. I thought the stars had aligned, and that this was my way into a redshirt freshman year of seeing if I liked it before I really committed to a full vote. I lost, came in second to Councilman Jim Bagby, and he's still a good yin and yang partner. He's been a great educator of mine. Now that we're on Sunshine and on council together, we can't talk, but I say this story to say I lost. I went to a tarot card reading. Months later,
I love it.
Months later, she pulled this judgment card. She asked me to, in my head, don't tell her a question. My question was, will I be on council this year? Because I really felt like this was a perfect window.
Yeah.
And she pulled this card over. It was a judgment card. It was like the scales of the courtroom kind of thing. And she didn't know what I asked. I said in my head. She said, the answer is yes. It's going to come in the form of a court case, and it will be a ruling in your favor through a female in a court. That ruling will be in your favor. So long story short, a councilwoman had been asked to step down because of a court case. And next thing you know, it was less than 1 year. So now, instead of going and doing a special election all over again, our charter said that we can appoint someone. So 4-2 vote, I get on the city council with 51 weeks left of her term. Just like the tarot card crazy, I don't really believe in it that much, but I did it anyways, kind of laughing about a card reading. And sure enough, it was right. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Here you are.
Here we are. So redshirt freshman year, I dove in. I loved every minute of it. It was so much fun learning from the directors, going to seminars and webinars. I went out for weekend retreats, trying to learn everything possible and getting out there. So to your point of my goals for mayor, having this redshirt freshman year of, I really realized that Destin had been a fishing, squatting community in what I would call 1.0 and what you would see in the museums. And then in the 90s and 2000s, we saw this exponential growth of tourism through our fishing tournaments and our known luckiest fishing village mantra. It started really flocking to these emerald green waters and sugar white sands. And so I kind of see this resort area of Destin as a 2.0, and I got into mayor because I wanted to create better projects for the council to vote on. The council in Destin votes, the mayor doesn't get a vote, but the mayor is more hands on the ground with the staff creating these projects. And I really feel like we're at a pivotal point now where 3.0 Destin's coming to life. And it's the same as fiber. It's like this next generation of technology coming into the city, and we have so many projects, so many different parcels of land being developed and redeveloped that I really wanted to make sure that these projects aren't only good for economics, but it's also good for the families living in Destin, making sure that forever as we move forward, that we've cemented in our heritage a community of family-oriented families for schools, for their sports, and that we had a lot of funding right now. So I just felt like this was a great time to jump in and make a pivotal difference into this 3.0 Destin that I kind of hoping to envision.
Where are you in your term?
In 2 weeks, it'll be 1 year.
Okay. All right. So you're still
in
at infant stages. Let's dive right into some of the projects you have going on and what you've established in this first year.
Yeah. So we've spent over $30 million in land. I think that's a positive.
Yeah.
So we've acquired almost over 500 feet of beachfront, because I know it's been a big issue with the state of who owns the beach. Unfortunately, the city has no say in the matter. So my perspective is, if we buy beachfront back from willing participants who are wanting to sell, more so those old cinder block 60, 70-year-old houses in Destin that were on that beachfront, if we can buy those up so that we're not buying the house, we're just truly buying the land, we can forever hold the beach that we need to create a foundation for tourism in the area. Everyone comes here for our beaches, but over the years we've heard that we don't have enough beach access for everyone. So everything and anything we can do to create more beach access is huge for me, and has been a great partnership with the county, the TDC, and all this beach access has been bought 100% through the tourists that come and visit. So that's been
Even better.
Even better, yeah. So 100% of the funds come from tourists so that the public can be open to the beach for everyone. including our locals. So that's been something that I've really been proud of, and that started in January of this year. So right off in January, we started off with a huge win at Tarpon Beach and Crystal Beach access. And then just recently, as of last week, we officially closed, but a couple months ago, we had purchased $9 million for the bridge parcel over at the Harbor District. That's 2.5 acres that will really allow for connectivity, pedestrian safety, and what I hope is a bridgehead to the Harbor District for green space, maybe some kind of amphitheater, and I'm really trying to push a ferry system inside the Choctawhatchee Bay as a public transportation network, and having a dock there to be a part of it all, I think would really allow the Harbor District to flourish, and as well as allow for a green space area with a view corridor of Crab Island that's just, unmatched anywhere else in the Emerald Coast. So that's been a win on the Harbor District side. And then, again, that money does come from the taxpayers, so that was money that we had set aside for a project like this. And then the last local win of big land acquisition would be that we've worked with the school board, and they just signed and sealed for 7.5 acres of land south of the elementary school. Destin Elementary School was one of the biggest elementary schools in the county as far as student population, and that's without a 5th grade.
Okay.
So we're K through 4. We moved the 5th grade over to middle school because we had such a capacity issue that we've had Katrina mobile home classrooms since Hurricane Katrina, and they've never left. So this is a great win for them to expand a third,
Since
fourth,
like
and
06?
06. Since I was in middle school when Hurricane Katrina happened. Sorry, everyone. And they all fluxed in. We had a huge influx of students coming over here from families taking refuge, and the population just never left. So what started as a temporary influx just became a permanent population base. And so it really threw a wrench in the growth expectancy of our school district versus the capital improvements. So we're finally getting ahead of it and having the land now to purchase and start a 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade wing. So the 5th grade will come back to the elementary school, and we'll still have about 5 acres to do something with. And I hope personally, as Bobby, not necessarily the mayor, is that we can work with the Boys and Girls Club and create a youth center there for child care network and a lot of things that are missing in our area for the families, as well as an economic driver when it comes to youth and youth recreation, and a place for them to go in between those hours when their parents are still at work.
Nathan Sparks, I just spoke with him earlier today, and he brought up the need for childcare and better options and more options for families here. How bad is it?
I only own chickens. I don't have kids.
Not yet.
Yeah, the city of Destin allows chickens. We have 15 of them, but I do not have any. I have 0 kids, so I did not know. I had always heard about it, and that always seems to be a top 3. But now being in this role, meeting the TPO board members, the teachers, everyone, it's a critical need, and I think it really comes down to it would create so much more personal wealth for our individual families if both spouses could work. And right now the biggest complaint is if my other significant other were to go to work, 2 or 3 of those days would go to paying the child care that he or she was doing. So am I really going to give up a week of being with my kids and raising them for 2 days of income or 3 days of income? And I can see that being a huge challenge. So really trying to leverage a Boys and Girls Network and a nonprofit. Potentially my vision would be a 50-year ground lease where the city buys back some of the land from the school board that they don't need. And with that, gift it to the Boys and Girls Club. They raise the money in the capital improvement campaign to create this 50,000 square foot facility, and one of those main missions being child care network, along with whatever else the community needs. So I really think, while a lot of people are talking that it's an issue, I'm very excited that we at least have an idea and a plan and a place for an issue to be addressed.
Did we talk any about the 21 acres for the Main Street area where Publix?
No.
Okay.
No, and that's the city center.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a make or break when it comes to partnership.
Okay.
We do not own these 22 acres. Publix does.
Okay.
But I'm very confident, and we've just gotten some good feedback from our legal team that we have so many layers of what has to happen in this mixed-use city center area because of the overlay. And I won't get into the nerdiness of what that looks like. But the main takeaway is we have a backbone and we have the legal process now to say no. I know so many people in Destin get upset because it seems like from the outside that council always just says yes to development regardless of what it is, and whether it's townhomes or things that we don't need, we just say yes and we roll over. And that's unfortunately because the state of Florida is very pro-business, open government, and while we always enjoy that, this is one time where it may work against us. So in this district, we actually have some overlays that are really going to be helpful to make sure that this partnership with Publix, when it comes to what happens outside the storefront, as far as what the city center looks like, we're really hoping for shops on the bottom, a Class A office space on the middle ground on the second floor, and what I would hope for is workforce housing on the third and fourth floor. And not necessarily all of it, but I think if we can address workforce housing, create a redevelopment district that has been blighted since I've been in middle school. When I was biking and didn't have a car, the theater was open, the Lively Cinema was open, and Pepito's, and I think Old Time Pottery. Everything else wasn't really there or accessible for a middle schooler. So to now see, if you drive by Main Street, to see 22 acres open in Destin, it's been a huge relief, and I'm very excited to see the progress moving forward, since it is now moving forward. Publix only needs 9 acres for their plaza, which gives us about 11 to 12 acres to work with to really reimagine what the city center looks like. So you have 3 districts in my head. You have the Harbor District, you have the city center, Main Street center of town, and then you kind of have this Morgan Sports Center area. And to stitch all 3 together, we're trying to create this Emerald Coast Sun Trail that'll be a 10 to 14 foot wide multimodal pathway, pedestrian and biking facility. That's main goal is to be off the road and to be a pedestrian, walking, running, biking trail, if you will, to really allow people to get around Destin and not in not such a car dependent way. So
Dallas has the Katy Trail.
Exactly. You know, I'm just stealing other people's great ideas.
No, it's highly beneficial. I used it all the time. I lived in Dallas for a brief time, and it's a wonderful option.
Yeah, and for Destin only being 7 square miles, for those who are able to, it really allows people to get outside their car and nature and venture around Destin. And I think this will be a great pathway for not just recreation, but also those getting to work that don't have a car. I think not only when you think of workforce housing, do you think of rent and utilities, but you also got to think of, we take a car as granted for what society is right now, but at least for me personally, a car is the second most expensive thing that I have to monthly have expenses in. So not only if we can get workforce housing to a reasonable rate in Destin, but if we can allow these people to bike and walk to work in a safe manner that's pleasant and wanting, then maybe workforce housing isn't just housing, but it's also transportation and how people have these assets that are really liabilities month over month. So as we look at trying to establish these workforce housing areas, we're also trying to take into consideration what other monthly expenses can we reduce or diminish so that people can enjoy Destin and be a part of it regardless of what they do.
What is the population of Destin?
We are just north of 13,000.
Okay.
People inside the city limits. Now, if you don't know, the northeastern half of the city, Kelly Plantation, Commons Drive, the Destin Commons, Regatta Bay, all these areas are actually unincorporated Destin. Okay. They're in the county, and so that's one of the big initiatives that I ran on, was trying to bring all of us under one ship so that we can sail in one direction. At this point, they're not paying any tax dollars into the city, which means they're not a citizen. They don't get to participate in any of our workshops or city elections. But more importantly, not having their funding come into us means that they're using our roads and our infrastructure, which I don't mind, but we're not getting the tax benefits from the state as a citizen that offsets that expense. So it's unfortunate that we've caught ourselves in this middle ground of, we take care of not only the local citizens, but the unincorporated citizens, as well as the hundreds of thousands of people who come weekly to the city of Destin to visit. So it's just kind of this very, balancing act of trying to welcome as many people as possible while still trying to make it fair for the taxpayers of Destin. So if we can get more people inside the city, I think they would see a lot of beneficial wins as far as parking passes and all these things, but also a way for them to contribute with their voice and with their dollars to what we do next.
How many people come visit a week?
So we have, to average up, you'll see that Destin has 14,000 residents. On any given week, we have 100,000 tourists, individual tourists.
Year round, or their
every
peak
week,
seasons?
We average 100,000. So yearly, at the most, I think we had 5.2 million visitors last year. I think we're down to 4.8, but the spending is up. So, and that's a great testament to our TDC, our Tourism Development Council. It's a county thing. And they market and advertise the Fort Walton and the Destin Fort Walton Beach brand. And they're really getting nitty gritty with the data that I know you know, and really making sure that we target the right people and that we not only encourage people to come here, but the people who have excess money come here. So and that helps with traffic and everything. If we can get less people here spending more, it's a great win-win for everyone. So that's the first sign of that trend happening has been this year, where this year it was 4.8, 4.9 million tourists, but the spend per tourist is up. So that's great news for everyone.
Did the Destin area see an influx in people moving here, say post-pandemic, when everybody sought a better quality of life?
Yeah, I luckily bought my house in Destin right before the pandemic. It has now doubled in price, and if I had not bought it then, I would not own in Destin and would not probably be able to be in this position. Honestly, I guess if I rented, I'd be another thing. But yes, it's been a big increase. We're seeing it flatten out now.
Yeah.
We don't anticipate it plummeting by any means, but we do see that the fury and the craziness of buying up everything has been settled out, but the price has plateaued. It's not going down, but it's plateaued. And talking to a lot of brokers in the area, it seems like they all anticipate this as the new norm moving forward.
Walton Chamber of Commerce member.
Yeah, that's my family. That's my OG #1 family member.
Diamond
group.
Sponsor.
Yeah,
Young Professional Board
sponsor.
member.
Yeah.
And Leadership Walton graduate 2017 to present.
Yeah.
A lot of titles there.
Well, I mean, that was just, I started in 16, 17 with them, and that's kind of going back to the production days.
Okay.
I was 2-3 years into video production, kind of learning the ropes, and at this point, reached out to the Walton County Chamber of Commerce. I was doing a lot of business in 38, just naturally through my connections out there, so I joined them, fell in love with Megan Harris, and just every single staff member over there, went through their leadership program, and that's really where I got the leadership bug and really kind of the self-improvement mentality idea. I had mentors through there, and it was really the catalyst of me going from owning a job to trying to not only build a business, but build up the employees and my partners within the business, and really seeing it more than just a transaction, but more of a, I guess for me, partnership equity in my employees all the way to my external partners for the company. And so they really just taught me how to be a business owner, not a business, I guess a job owner. And so they just are family to me. That was me kind of coming out of my shell as a production owner. And that's just really been a great curve when that curve kind of peaks up from that exponential income and really starting to see the fruit of your labor of 5 years of hustling and trying to grind for every paycheck turn into word of mouth and people now coming to you because that word of mouth is there. Yeah. I really give them the first credit. Shane with the Destin Chamber has now become a great mentor and a life partner for me as far as what I confide in. For government is still in business, but the Walton Chamber was my day one OG family.
And is that what took you to the Destin Chamber of Commerce member and Destin Forward Leadership applicant, 2018 to present? So it's hand in hand?
Yeah, exactly. At that point, 17, I joined the nonprofit for Trees on the Coast board. And then by 2020, I had really solidified more Destin work, production-wise, nonprofit-wise, and I started getting interested in politics. So for the nature of trying to keep everything consistent in one geographic area, I really gravitated over to the Destin Chamber just because I love chambers. And honestly, in this role as government, I still see my role as a chamber member, which is communicating with the public, interfacing with them, and trying to collaborate to make the best projects happen for our community. So I've just taken the chamber mentality and brought it into local politics.
You're quite inspiring.
Learning on the job.
Well, you've covered a lot in your first year. What's next? What are some of the things that you can talk about that people here would be interested in knowing?
Yeah. So we fought and we won. We are no longer 6-laning the Harbor District of Destin through 98. The feasibility of it and the monetariness would just be too much. So the 4-laning will always be there in the City Harbor District. And I was very afraid that if we went to 6 lanes, we would really destroy the feel and the vibe of that walkable festival area that we have. So that was an unintentional win that just had happened. But what had also come out of that from the state is that just like the Brooks Bridge, the Destin Brooks Bridge, the Booker T. Marler Bridge will be getting redone here in the next 10 years. So not only will we have a new Brooks Bridge in 10 years, more like 7 is what they've said, the Destin Bridge is up next. And so I'm very excited to work with them, again, for pedestrian transportation and public transportation. There's going to be a multimodal pathway over the Okaloosa Island, and that's a Carolyn Ketchel County Commissioner initiative that I'm very excited to take that mobility plan and connect it to this bridge, and then through there connect it to what I was talking about earlier, which is that Sun Trail, which is the harbor, the main town, crosstown connector, Main Street, and the Morgan Sports Center area. So really just being a piggybacking on other people's projects and bringing it forward. I really see that parcel at the bridge that we purchased, this Main Street, downtown city center idea, and Morgan Sports Center, and now south of elementary school, these 4 locations. I know it's a lot, but all 4 of these locations, we're talking about acreages in Destin, which is land has been always finite in Destin. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about, I don't know, over 20 acres of redevelopment throughout the city of Destin. And if we can find the money, find the grants and the partnerships, really envision a holistic approach and not just look at these as individual projects, but really a overarching map. I love Game of Thrones and all these other things, so I'm begging anyone out there with a 3D printer, if you want to help me 3D print the city of Destin. I just have this vision of being able to place and plop all these different parcels so that we can really make sure that we understand that every decision we make on one side of town, on one piece of land, affects how the other pieces go. So this Destin 3.0 that I'm trying to envision allows all these redevelopments and these mobility plans to intersect to make sure that it all is one concise plan. Because I think in the past, one of the biggest frustrations being a local of Destin, being but middle school and high school and now an adult, is the lack of the consensus of a plan. And if now that we finally have an amazing council that has this vision, out of the 8 of us, 4 are under the age of 40, so we have a very young council and very ambitious council. So I really feel like in the next 2 years, we have a great opportunity to marry all these individual projects together and really create a 3.0 Destin that pushes the family mentality, pushes the tourism mentality in a better direction. Ecotourism, creating a family place, creating the sports tourism and the local little leagues that we need, making sure that as Destin grows, that we grow with a family mindset, as we grow with a residential mindset first, a business mindset second, and a tourism mindset third, to make sure that we keep our priorities in that order.
It really sounds to me like you're pushing the modernization and progressive side of things that need to happen, that are inevitable, for the growth and overall betterment of this area.
Yeah, I think growth is going to happen. It's inevitable. I hate that word. I was like, I'm not going to say it. I'm like, I'll make a fool of myself again. But yes, I feel like growth without any plan is bad. Growth with a plan can be dangerous, but with a long-term reach and really understanding what are the issues in Destin, and not only trying to just make something happen for the sake of checking a box and having our names on a plaque, but making sure that everything we do has a solution mindset to something that we are facing now, as well as not growing so fast that we put ourselves in binds in the future. So just smart growth, economical growth, but really if we keep our top priority in check, which is the local residents. If they're happy, that means they can have Southern hospitality to the businesses. The businesses are happy. That means they're really creating a great environment for the tourists that come. So, I think everything's interconnected, and there's the magic part again, the woo-woo-ness coming back, where I think everyone's interconnected. I think everything's interconnected, and we only get in trouble when we try to silo ourselves away, whether it's individually, in a pack, in a city. We really have to make sure that we don't not only play nice within a city, but make sure that we play nice with Niceville and Fort Walton and Okaloosa County, because if we think we're if we think we're an individual, then no one else is going to help. We have to have a team and a partnership mentality, or why would someone want to help someone who's making it all about themselves?
And you just kind of touched on some of the challenges that you face. What are some of the other challenges that you face?
Yeah, if you ask anyone in Destin, it'll be traffic. And we're hoping the pedestrian pathways and my ferry idea and some of these other things will help there. I think one of the biggest opportunities, which is a challenge right now, is the whole Florida Panhandle is in a very unique predicament compared to the state of Florida. We get the benefit from being inside the state of Florida, but if you go to Jacksonville, Orlando, St. Pete, Tampa, Miami, Naples, all these southern to northern, eastern Florida, us panhandlers are the Northwest Florida district. All these other areas are seeing exponential growth. They're seeing what has blown up from this population spike. We have seen population rises, but not nearly what all these other areas in Florida are doing. There's so much land here that needs to stay conserved and stay for environmental protection. But I see this as a rare opportunity where we get to learn from other cities in Florida and not redo their mistakes, but just almost piggyback and leapfrog what hadn't worked and just go to what does work. And that's what I really do a lot with the Florida League of Cities.
I live in St. Augustine.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things like they did, we had a drawbridge there that I think was one of the oldest drawbridges in the country. And I can remember them redoing this and making things more walkable and adaptable and allowing people to connect from the island into the historic district downtown. And you're just seeing revitalization in all parts, which makes it more sought after. I mean, they also pump
I think you guys got ranked #1 this year.
In places to live.
Yeah,
in Florida.
I know. I was really jealous, but yet I told the whole staff, I'm like, all right, just one more level, not to compete against, but to collaborate with.
Because East Coast and West Coast Florida are two different vibes, two different feels. Yeah, they really are.
Absolutely, and I love always coming from a collaborative mindset and not a competitive mindset. I mean, it's always fun to rank and have that competitive mindset, but at the end of the day, someone who would want to live there might not be a good Destin resident, and vice versa. So why compete against something that's so arbitrary when it comes to where people want to feel like home? And
well, following suit, one of the things I was thinking as you were talking was following suit, and that, the city was very involved with, all right, we don't want to commercialize this to the point that we lose that real unique beach town feel. So I think the Embassy just put in, Embassy Suites, like a larger hotel, and a lot of residents had an issue with it. So I don't think it's something you'll see being a trend, but also like signage. There's only a certain height they can take it because the views are of the essence.
Absolutely.
It's why a lot of people come. So those are the great takeaways that you get to elaborate upon and exacerbate upon by bringing those type of, I don't know what you'd call it in terms of government, but guidelines.
Yeah, just the rules of it all. And that's something, I do a lot of work in the St. Simons Islands, the Golden Isles.
Where our headquarters is.
Yeah, where you guys is. So they have a beautiful sign ordinance where everything is within the trees, and, whether it's a Chick-fil-A, Walmart, or your mom and pop coffee shop, it's all the same. And I think there's something, when you're not in someone's face and flashy, I think it allows everyone to feel like they've made it and they can settle and they can walk. And to that
Quaintness.
point, exactly, and taking and kind of full circling it, there's a Florida League of Cities that I treat just like our local chambers, where it's all the cities get together and we share ideas. There's an annual conference that I've just drank their Kool-Aid. They do breakout meetings. So, and I say all this to say, if I do anything in Destin that is of significance, I guarantee you it did not come from me. Sure. It came from one of these 411 cities, one of their mayors or city council members or managers that had given me an idea that we had adopted to our own heritage to make it sure that it's our flavor and our vibe of Destin, and to make sure that we don't over-commercialize, but make sure that we do things the right way. We grow in the way that the community wants, but to not grow is to go backwards. So we have no choice but to move forward, but doing so, we might as well learn from our neighbors, and neighbors meaning statewide.
St. Pete Beach, I've worked over there for years, is another one that's done a fantastic job with all of these efforts.
Yeah, their new pier, the downtown. I've sat with their vice mayor now, and he connected me to their grants writing team. So our grants writing team and their grants writing team have now talked.
You're all related.
Oh yeah, it's all, we're all connected. It's just, you know, when we want to make ourselves individuals, you're right. So,
with everything you do for Destin, what keeps you passionate about your mission here, and what makes Destin so great?
Yeah, I think, again, kind of going back to the roots of video production, but not necessarily me being in production, but me just being a small business owner in the area. I think if you are a small business in the area, you know this without a doubt, and even a medium size. This area is so interconnected, it's laughable. This area is so giving that it's unheard of to see so many charities with doing so much and having so much philanthropy and so many outreach missions that you almost have, it's not an obligation by any means. I think the word would be almost like so many people have modeled this good stewardship of giving back.
Small town charm.
It
really
becomes
is
part of it. I mean, it's been amazing. This area gives just as much as you give, or you get just as much as you give in this area. And I think that's been why I've always quoted this like giver's gain philosophy, is because this area in particular exponentializes that philosophy. I have always just given my time because I never had money, and that has always given me relationships and equity and partnerships, and it has given me this platform now to be the mayor of Destin. So I don't know, it's just been this very amazing small town feel with large city expansion when it comes to how many people come and visit, how many outside people come for productions, and I get to get picked up by HTV for a day as just a day gig shot. So it's just been this amazing place to live, work, and play, where it's a small town feel, but you have so many large city opportunities that fly in for a day, a weekend, or a week, or maybe even a month. So for me, this is just a great place for opportunity. There's the military. There's this great economic engine of tourism. And coupled that at all is only 14,000 residents inside the city limits, 3,000 houses homesteaded that really make this place home. So while you have these millions of people in and out, when you go to the restaurant down the street or you're in your local grocery store, in the sea of all these people, you can always pick out the locals because we're always out there, and you just see them so often that you know them. So it's just this beautiful mix where you have a little bit of everything. So I ranted on that, but it's just amazing.
That's good, but it's a fine line to balance. I mean, living in an area, watching the amount of money pumped into tourism, and then also keeping that local feel. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's got to be quite the thing to toggle.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest advantages for the city of Destin that I did not know about until I got in is our staff. Our ground workers, our directors are all overqualified. And they're overqualified because they have reached the pinnacle of their profession. They have that last, 7 to 10 years where now they have the resume to go anywhere. And what place to finish out your job than in, the panhandle of Florida in Destin. So we have a finance director that's overqualified, a code director, grants manager. I mean, every department, public works, all these people are overqualified because they had the pick of the litter and they wanted to work at the beach.
I was just thinking, what a choice they got to make.
So that's been my favorite part to share with people now, being an insider, now being a government guy, not knowing anything about this because I was always small business chamber. This new circle that I've been in has been just such an appreciation for their time and talent that they give the city. And
I have to mirror your sentiments on that. Interviewing and talking to Nathan Sparks earlier today, I was super impressed.
Oh, he's awesome.
Like, wow.
Yeah, he's dope.
Yeah, he is. His brain, his ideologies, how smart he is, how thoughtful he is, his passion. And he comes from Glenn County, where our headquarters are, and to hear him talk about coming over here, and he's been here a decade now, and really the love and passion that he has for the industry is just telltale.
Yeah, and kind of to thank you guys, I know a lot of people have reached out to me through my email of businesses want to relocate now with remote working being so easier and even remote offices being a much more commonplace. the one thing that Destin needs that you guys are providing is this just next generation internet connection.
I can't thank you enough for that.
No, it's awesome. No, and I can't I feel like they're not paying me, and I wish they would, but I'm not allowed to take gifts over $25, state law, but I am happily willing and able to give promo to, Live Oak Fiber and what they're doing in Destin, because it is the last infrastructure that I think a city doesn't need to be in the business of. To provide our city, and more importantly, the future businesses of Destin. Our new IT director, Andy, came from Oregon, lifelong resident of Oregon, families Oregon, kids Oregon. He uprooted and came over here to be our new IT guy because of the beach and everything else. But he's like, man, there's so many, he's in that world. And me and him went to lunch, and he's like, there's so many people in this realm where they would just want to, why not work at the beach? And if we can provide this Live Oak, these fibers, and really up the game of gigs and not talk about megabytes anymore, but really start talking about the G, I really think you will see this next generation of middle class, upper middle class remote workers come to Destin that I think will really energize the base of local business, small business, and just people wanting to be a part of a community when their business and their coworkers are abroad or just not local or regional. So I'm very excited to tap into those people who want to remote work and giving them the ability to do so in Destin.
No, we're just as passionate about it. I was telling you a little bit about my history and my career, and then having this opportunity come to me, and it's been just so eye-opening. But to be able to be passionate about serving outlying communities that would not have a superior internet option otherwise, these markets are super fertile for this solution. And to your point, and post-COVID, not being able to offer proper telehealth, online schooling, and with hybrid work on the rise and going to continue to stay there, I think having that option without interruption available to people is really only going to bode well for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, all your lines are underground, and the city of Destin is undergrounding all their utility lines. So I'm very excited to have this vision of Destin where the harbor, town center, our sports complex is all in this next generation of improvement. But not only will we see improvement in what we see, but also what we don't see. Everything will be underground. And not only is that an aesthetic thing, but it's also going to be a resilience when it comes to hurricanes and preparation and recovery time after catastrophes and natural disasters. So not only is it a futuristic technology, but it's also moving in line with just all these other projects that we're doing, which is, just improving the quality of life and bringing opportunity to the panhandle of Florida.
That's our brand mission. It's improving the quality of life. So
I didn't even know that. Look at that.
Yeah. No, this is great. You are as awesome as everybody told me you were. So I'm very glad that I got to meet you in person and have you in to talk today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't thank you enough.
And if you guys are still listening, if I haven't rambled on enough, if you guys are a part of the city of Destin or not, I'd love to reach out to you guys. If you're inside the city limits, come join us, be a part of committees, come join us on the workshops. All the city council meetings are streamed live and are always hosted afterwards on YouTube. Leave comments there. Email us, council@cityofdestin.com. Local government is not what you see on TV, and I'm just a huge advocate of getting more and more people involved because this process does not mirror what you see on daily news, on your newspaper, on your feeds for your online Yahoo News. So I just want to encourage people that if you have given up hope in government, look towards your local government, even if it's not the city of Destin, because that is what I think we should get back to. And if we give more attention and focus to the local government, more power and more positioning can be given towards it. So I'm just a huge advocate, not only for people getting involved to the process, but making cities the strongest voice possible, because I feel that while I think less amount of government's best, the government that is closest to the people are the ones that speak and do for the people. And I want to make sure that people don't lose hope in what they see on TV, but to renew that hope through your local government.
Listen, I got out of news for a reason. So I love everything you just said. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for tuning in. To learn more about Live Oak Fiber, visit liveoakfiber.com and feel the flow.